There is some crazy construction happening right beside us. So I really apologize for the fact that they just started drilling and hammering and they won't stop. So I really hope that you can't pick up on too much of that noise, but it's a really good moment to reflect and be present and and listen to the information. Super, super pumped. As I was saying in the live chat right before this, I feel so good. Like I literally feel just went on a retreat and I just came back and I'm like pumped and like ready for life. And the funny thing is that I just came out of like a 2 week dark night of the soul. I was in bed for 2 weeks. If not a little bit longer, I fasted for about 5 days. I did a face peel. I felt sad. I mean, I felt all the emotions, but I feel so good. Like I really feel like I needed to shed all these layers. I feel so much lighter. So thank you all so much for just being here and holding space, and Angelo for that incredible super chat. Really appreciate that. So I just really, really appreciate each and every one of you. I do want to mention before getting into some quantum downloads that we are transitioning YouTube memberships over to the brand new membership platform. I will always be doing free live YouTube videos every Monday, so don't worry about that. But we are discontinuing YouTube memberships, really just to allow me to be a little bit more censorship free. So that's really important, especially if shit goes down and YouTube's wiped off the face of the earth. At least you guys know where to find me, which is my own platform and community. So that's fantastic. Today we are talking about false memories and timeline paralysis, sometimes known as timeline fatigue. We're going to be talking all about timelines today and how they can really impact your life and make you a little bit more aware of your power. So once again, please do not sign up to be a YouTube member. We are going to have Lauren submit the brand new membership link and as well as the YouTube transition link. All right, so we are only signing up people on the new membership platform, just to be aware, because John, I just saw that you re-signed up, so don't do that. Okay, cool. What else? Okay, wow, like we had an incredible Galactic Federation event that just happened a couple days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago. So it was the very last Galactic Federation summit for the year of 2021. And it was just like it went, I think, an hour and a half, like half an hour over time, just because there were so many beings, so much information. The first half of the Galactic Federation event was an overview of 2021, and then the second half of the GFL event was an overview of what we can expect for 2022. There's pros and cons. That's all I'm gonna say. There's pros and cons. So check that out. Check out the recording if you haven't already, and then if you already purchased the recording, it should already be in your inbox. If not, send us an email. But right now we are just flooded with customer support emails when doing the membership migration transition. So yeah, just be patient with us. Give us some time. We have a very, very small team, and we have all been working overtime on emails, basically. Last but not least, we've got an incredible event coming up in really just a week. It is called the Cosmic Gateway event. It's a 4 to 5 hour long event where we help you shed layers of the old year of 2021 and really help you anchor in and move into this brand new year of 2022. Like, so many good things about it. 25-page workbook. We do psychic activities just to sharpen your telepathy a little bit. Once again, sorry about the drilling. This is just so brutal. And we also have a musical guest, so it's going to be super good vibes all around. And when you purchase the live event ticket, which is just $22, you immediately get the recording with it. So if you can't stay for 4 hours, no worries, just watch the recording and follow up on the homework afterwards. All right. Super pumped. Thank you, Sharma, and everyone for your continued support. And thank you to all of the new members on the new membership site as well. It's been a really huge blast just getting that community going. So, first of all, can we just talk about timelines? Like, what exactly is a timeline? So, I've said this before, but I'm just going to kind of explain it again. When we tap into the quantum world, when we tap into this quantum field, time and space do not exist in a linear fashion. So we understand time as past, present, and future. Time actually exists past, present, and future. And what we can do is we can tap into the past, present, and future all in this present moment. That shouldn't be news to you. That shouldn't be a big deal. What is a big deal, what does take our mind a little bit more to wrap around, is the fact that there are an infinite number of parallel timelines all coexisting right now in this moment. So I'll give you a little overview. There are 12, soon to be 13 dimensions in this universe. I've been downloading stuff about this new dimension. It's crazy. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that today. And within every dimension, which is just really an energetic density, right? Here we are in the third dimension, soon to be fifth dimension. And within every dimension, within the parameters of every incarnated being that you could be, there's an infinite number of choices that you have. So all a timeline is just a choice, because every choice that we make throws us into a brand new pathway. That's what a timeline is. It's a pathway. In this moment, I could go ahead and pick up my water glass and take a drink of water. And what that's going to do is that's going to set my moving mouth 2.2 seconds back, hopping me into a parallel timeline. Or I don't do that at all. Or I don't talk about it. Or I do talk about it. An infinite amount of different timelines. All right. And so what happens when we start to raise our vibrational frequency is we begin to tap into the infinity of time itself. So something that you should be already well versed with, if you're not, no big deal. It's called precognition. Now, precognition is a psychic ability, which is basically just looking into the future. So if you have precognition, which I believe we all have all of the psychic abilities, it basically means that you get flashes or images of future moments. Now, in the past, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, a psychic was typically spot on. This is going to happen on this time, at this date, with this person. In the past, when I was precognitive and definitely tapping into those precognitive abilities, I was spot on. You're going to have a child in this month on this day, and it's going to be this gender. Nowadays, timelines are so rapidly merging and shifting and melding and molting and changing that for one psychic, even if it's the best psychic in the world, to try and tap into precognition, to try and look into your life to say, this is for sure going to happen next year at this time, it's next to impossible. Like, I literally had to throw all of my precognition out the window probably 3-4 years ago, because things are changing and happening really rapidly. Now, when timelines are shifting so rapidly, that can be really, really positive, because it's like, I'm not locked into my job for life. I'm not locked into this energy forever. And it feels very liberating to be able to shift into a different timeline very rapidly. Or it can feel extremely overwhelming to have all of the timelines in front of you and say, nothing is set in stone. I can't expect or anticipate or rely on any aspect of my life, and that really freaks me out. I always kind of think about going to a restaurant and having, like, especially in LA, there's so many amazing restaurants. You either have a menu that has like three things on the menu, and you're like, well, I've got one of three options, so I'll choose this. Or you go to a restaurant and you have a menu that has like 200 things on the list, and you kind of get this choice paralysis. It's like you're so overwhelmed by all of the potential things that could exist that it's very difficult for you to make a choice. This is very, very similar to timelines. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about when we talk about simultaneous time and timelines is, hold on, there's a lot of things that I want to talk about, but there was one thing that I just had. Okay, so the more objective you are in life in general, the easier it's going to be to see all of the timelines objectively in front of you, and then to be able to choose the timeline that most aligns, or like aligns the most, I guess, to your highest vibration. So a huge part about timelines is responsibility. If you have a tendency, and I'm sure we all know someone like this in our life, where my boss hates me and my job is crappy because of that, and the world's against me, and why am I never ahead, and why is it always me versus everyone else? You know, it's kind of that victim energy, and not to put that down, because we've all been there. I was there in the past 2 weeks, right? But if you have a hard time taking responsibility to say, I create my own reality, therefore this is the reality that I want to create for myself and for the planet, then it's going to be very difficult for you to step into the infinite choices that are in front of you. So think about it this way. A 3D person, or someone who is really caught up in the 9 to 5 or the matrix or just autopilot programming, it's really easy. Open the fridge and I'm going to choose what I choose every single day, which is orange juice in the mornings. And then at lunch, this is what I eat because this is what I eat every day. They're so stuck in the choices that they have a very hard time even understanding that there's a different choice to make. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is I want to push all of you to go beyond the boundaries of what is comfortable for you. I want you to really push yourself to make alternate choices that that are different. And the other thing too that we get caught up in when trying to make a choice is, what is the right choice? What is the wrong choice? And I want to remind you that there is never a right or wrong. Like, what are even the parameters of your question of what is right or wrong? Is it what society thinks is right or wrong? Is it what God thinks is right or wrong? Is it what your mom thinks is right or wrong? Is it what you've been programmed to believe is right or wrong? There is nothing objectively in the universe that tells us what is right and what is wrong, which once again can be very overwhelming because there isn't necessarily like a moral structure. Even if you were to hopefully accidentally like hurt someone or what have you, you're learning a lesson from that. There is something within that choice, there's something within that timeline that is aligning to a greater picture, a greater contract that you have, if that makes sense. All right, so hopefully that kind of gives you a little overview. But it's important to talk about timelines because as we raise our vibration, as the world shifts into a new dimension, time doesn't exist in the same way. And we are all going to be stepping into our precognitive future vision, I guess downloads, but also stepping into, wow, I could do anything right now, but I don't know what to do at all. Okay, so that's totally fine. Okay, so what is a false memory? This is super important. I don't I like this terminology, but I also kind of don't like the terminology because it's not really correct. So, a false memory, I guess in my own definition, is a memory that someone has of a very specific event that actually never occurred whatsoever. That's why it's called a false memory. The reason why I don't really resonate with that terminology is because I don't believe that that memory that you have is false at all. And it's so interesting how so many people online, especially like way back in the day when I started getting into the Mandela Effect, like what is this phenomenon? So many people, false memories. People just think that they thought that Berenstain Bears was spelt Berenstein and it's Bernstein and whatever, right? And I'm like, cool. So you're just sloughing off tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people to say your memory was off? Yeah, sorry, the Star Wars movie that is super, super famous and popular, it wasn't Luke, I am your father. It was no, I am your father. No, there's no way. There's no way. That's just a memory defect. There's no way. I don't believe that, right? What I believe a false memory is someone who either lived through a timeline and flipped or looped into a different timeline later on and remember the alternate timeline. Essentially, a false memory is a glitch in the matrix. The reason why a false memory would be a glitch in the matrix is because if the matrix worked the way that it was intended to work in this kind of prison structure, we would all just remember the memories or the decisions or the timelines that we choose and go through. So the fact that something happens that does not align to our previous memory is a glitch in the matrix. Because you're actually not supposed to remember timelines that passed you by. All right? So that's kind of the explanation of that. So I want to ask all of you, have you had a case of a false memory? Like, have you, say, gone to your parents and said, remember when I was a kid and we went to Disney World and like I tripped over Mickey Mouse? Like, and your parents are like, we never went to Disney World. There was one time when you were 6 and we were gonna go to Disney World, but we decided to buy a car instead, or whatever, right? So definitely in the live chat, you can say yes or no if you've ever experienced a false memory, but also like in the comments of this video, please comment and explain your false memory story, because for some people who are on here, maybe you're like, I've never had that before. Like, I've never had a glitch in the matrix or a false memory or whatever this stuff is. But then when you start reading other people's comments, you're like, oh, that's a false memory? Yeah, I've had that. Which is really, really cool. So that's what this community is here for, is to really validate your experiences, to let you know you're not crazy, you're not dying, you're just waking up. Gotta plug the book. I gotta plug the book. Okay. So as we move forward into this new density, into this new vibrational frequency, false memories are going to happen way more, way more. And it almost feels like, even though the word or the words false memories feel like, oh my goodness, like that's on you. Like you're the crazy one. You're clearly remembering an incident that never happened before. When in actuality, I want to take our power back from these glitches in the matrix. I want to take our power back from false memories. And I want to start applying, not only do I believe that an infinite number of timelines have occurred, are occurring, will occur, but I actually believe that we can backdate timelines and quantum loop into a different timeline in the present moment to a really extreme degree. Like, for example, in the morning, you choose to drink coffee and you're like, I'm trying to kick the habit of drinking coffee. And, my wife got me this pressed celery juice instead. I believe it's possible. This is crazy. This is like a very futuristic example, but I want to give you this extreme example to let you know what I believe is possible. I believe that it's possible to choose the coffee, Right when you're at the end of drinking the coffee, I believe that you can backdate the choice of choosing the coffee and actually choose the celery juice instead. And then you quantum loop into that same exact time of 11:11 a.m. and all of a sudden, instead of an empty coffee cup on your table, you've got an empty celery juice container on your table, and your body has taken in all of the nutrients. Now, another extreme example of this is, why just choose one or the other when I truly believe we can make multiple choices simultaneously? So instead of drinking the coffee or the celery juice, I believe that we can choose both simultaneously. And then I also believe that we can direct our body to take in the nutrients of the celery juice and to pass all of the caffeine or whatever through our body from the coffee. Like, I truly believe that we can master our reality to that degree, that different timelines that already took place in the past can have positive effects on our life right now in the present moment. Similarly, I believe that timelines that you believe happened in the past that maybe never happened can have negative effects on us in the present moment. It gets weird. It gets really weird. Um, but it is so fascinating, and I really do have a very open-minded energy about time and timelines and truly what is possible. So I always like giving you super extreme examples, just to really open up your mind to be like, wow, like I'm so in power that I can choose whatever I want in the past, in the present, and in the future. All right. Okay, good. Okay, so like I mentioned before, as we get more quantum, time tends to blur or entangle. So what else? Okay, so the next kind of follow-up question that I'm sure is on your mind is, how do we actually tune into these frequencies? How do we actually basically have precognition? How do we tap into future timelines? How do we make choices of changing our past timelines all in the present moment? By far, the number one thing that all of you can do is to get yourselves into the most neutral, objective minded place that you can get. When I do something, like, for example, if I email someone and I have an expectation that that email is going to land a certain way for that person, that expectation that I have, it locks me in to one potential timeline. If you go about life and you do everything without expectation or attachment, you start to blur your own lens of time and timelines and choices and outcomes of choices, so that therefore every potential outcome of every choice you're making is open-ended. Then, when you really want an outcome to occur, you're able to very easily manifest that outcome because you are not held down by prior expectation or attachment. All right? So letting go of the expectation and attachment, letting go of what you assume is going to happen, and letting go of worrying so much about all the other timelines that you are focusing on that or having anxiety on that or trying to shift over into another timeline. The more objective you are about all timelines are occurring, this is the timeline and the outcome that resonates the most with me, but I don't have any expectations or attachments over it. That is the timeline that you can shift into. So above and beyond having a direction and knowing what timeline you would like to go down, because you know that it's going to resonate with your highest vibration, and it takes a long time to figure out what actually resonates and what doesn't. But say, for example, you have a clear kind of understanding of where you want to go and how that's going to land for you. It's like, how do you manifest something without an expectation of an outcome? You have to focus on that timeline objectively over and over and over again. The more focus you give anything in your life, the more likely it is to occur. So, for example, just pretend in this moment that I'm holding a water glass. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm holding a water glass. I'm holding a water glass. I'm holding a water glass. And every single time I have this thought of, I'm holding a water glass, every thought that you have, you can imagine it as like a very thin, transparent layer of energetic density. I am holding a water glass, I am holding a water, and this is a silly example. And then all of a sudden, boom, there I am holding a water glass. And I've manifested that into my physical reality. All right. I mean, that's just once again a silly example. But every thought that you have is an energetic layer. And the more we focus on these energetic layers, the denser and denser and denser it becomes, and the more it anchors into our physical 3D reality. All right? So that's basically how to hop into a timeline is let go of any and all expectations, any fears, any aversion, any attachment that you have to any other timeline, because we have to really come from a pure place in order to manifest and shift and quantum loop into other alternate timelines. All right. And then once you know what timeline you want to focus on without any expectation or layers from any other timelines, then you just need to focus on it objectively without expectation. Expectation is a low density, so you don't want to attach that to anything, especially when you're trying to manifest. Okay? Good. All right, timeline paralysis. This is really funny. All right. So like I mentioned, going back to the food menu at a restaurant, you have like 200 choices for food. You don't know what you want, so you're just sitting there. Now, what I find, all right, you are for sure, and once you understand this concept, I want you to let me know if you've had this recently. So at like a surface level, you will be feeling timeline paralysis. We've all felt it, especially in the past couple of months. And the way that it comes through at a surface level is anxiety. And the anxiety comes like, it's almost like you're going to bed. You got nothing that's really stressful in your life. But as you go to bed, your mind is just running. Am I going to do this? Am I going to do this? What about this? Is this person going to reach out to me? What's going to happen over here? What's the plan over here? What are we doing next weekend? That I would call timeline paralysis. It is the anxiety, and I've had this a lot recently, of not trusting the path that you're on. So your mind, it's almost like your 3D mind is trying to catch up with all the different timelines because you don't trust that you have the power to tune into the highest vibrational timeline that's going to align with you. So instead of trusting, once I'm presented with that menu at that restaurant, I will just know what aligns in that moment. Instead of trusting that, your mind, your ego, your human is trying to think about all of the different timelines, even though we might not have the verbiage for that, and try and contemplate all the different outcomes for all the different timelines and what's going to be the best. It's like our processing system as a human being is on freaking overdrive because we're not in the vibration of trust. That, my friends, is timeline paralysis. So yeah, I mean, we're presented with everything and it's very overwhelming. And I know that feeling of like overwhelm in a moment, but it's really also the anxiety of feeling like I have to make a choice. I don't know what choice is right. So I'm going to go through all of the different kinds of, like, literally my mind recently, having a conversation with a person the next day, all the things that I want to say, all the things that I could say, all the replies that they could have to the things that I could say. I'm like, what is going on? Like, why does my mind feel like it needs to figure all of this out? every time I let that go and I just trust that it needs to happen the way that it's going to happen, it happens perfectly. All right? So even though we may not contextually know that we are going through timeline paralysis, anxiety, worrying, doubt, and trying to play out scenarios in our mind over and over and over again are all huge symptoms of timeline paralysis. And the biggest cure of timeline paralysis is taking a huge step back from all of the potential choices and just trusting in yourself to make the highest vibrational choice in the moment. Now, what's happening is as we step into this quantum world, as all of these lines and timelines get blurred and entangled and intermixed and are changing rapidly, our human is freaking out. Our human has no idea how to deal with this blended energy. The best thing you can do is unblend from it and let your human know, and this is where talking to yourself is actually really key. It's okay. Like, I trust that we, okay, as a collective within myself, are going to make the best choice for all of us, for all of these different parts that we have within. All right? And that's really important because I was just wondering, I'm like, my life isn't any more stressful. If anything, I should be more relaxed. I should be sleeping longer. And yet I'm being kept awake at night by this damn timeline paralysis and thinking about all of the potential options that I have for all of the things that I know don't really fucking matter. And I don't think I'm alone with that. So have you experienced timeline paralysis in your life and this extra layer of anxiety and trying to figure it all out? Like, am I alone? Or have you? Someone's like, not right now. Yes, 100%. Yeah, I feel that. Absolutely. Yeah, so you know what's really beautiful is when unpacking these concepts and understanding why our system, why our human is reacting this way, and understanding where that reaction is coming from, it really helps us to just really chill out in the present moment. And that's why I'm here, is to help you all chill out and navigate these crazy, tumultuous, chaotic times. That being said, before I bring a close to this, please check out the Galactic Federation recording. This was the very last GFL event. The Galactic Federation made some pretty crazy predictions for 2022. Not gonna lie, I don't know how I feel about them, but they also really gave us an incredible overview of 2021, how it went, and what they really feel from their perspective. So definitely check that out. And other than that, I hope to see all of you at the Cosmic Gateway on December 21st. It is going to be next level. We are going to be in Joshua Tree for that, which is like so aligned and super incredible because I get to take all of those vibrations and just upload it to the collective cloud. So hopefully I'll see you all there. And other than that, I just want to remind you how powerful you are, the fact that you are an incredibly beautiful hybrid being. You are this grand experiment from many different species, and you, my friends, are here for a reason. You signed up for this, and you have all of the tools necessary to navigate it. And that drilling is my exit strategy. Thank you all so much for once again being here, supporting me, holding space, and being in this lovely community. I will chat with all of you on Saturday for the Cosmic Chat on my brand new membership platform. And other than that, I will see you on next Monday at 5:55. Bye for now.